More poems by Anne Waldman from Manatee, Humanity.
They had decided to walk to the ferry boat now. The map of the lakes lay on the table. She picked up the book close by, setting the map aside, and as she approached it now more closely, now looking at it, she was happy to see, and she did this quickly, lifted as she was by the title, the photographs within. Walls, a superimposition of a she-wolf's face. It was a book by a friend, the name of a friend clearly on it whose writing she admired. It was lateral writing, a kind of meditation on the detritus and refuse and vast sweep of time's ravage upon many great cities, diasporas of visible and invisible migrations. She thought of semaphores. He was trying to tell her something with his signals, with his codes and flags, and where they might measure distress, could measure, help them now, signal, distress, distress. It was words, words only now, here, the ferry close by, within walking from their temporary shelter. He was of the words only school, then turning words to movies, those moving pictures impersonating shadows, a moving pictures school, and movies, movies only, for you could tell in light, he would say, words, and he liked them dark, transgressive even. And what are you wishing on? I mean, working on, he asked, chewing on the mammal. It was like an hallucination. First, the objects strewn about where they had arrived from, a book, a map, quadrants discarded now, a sense of the shelter and the departing from it, map cast aside, they would try their luck. His caverns of cities, weight of them in him, in her mind now. They had sat with their lunch on another ferry, Lago di Como. Animal, bereft, lithic underpinnings, and the writing they both did took you to those other places, waves on the Bosphorus, Istanbul or Cambodia. They both wrote as if in the grip of a fever. Have you ever had the terrible dengue? Because of urgency, survival, to describe the known world of any reach or stretch of imagination, the relative world of death and change, with the machinations of capitalism grinding away, charged and mysterious, brute force and decimation, deracination. Was her time irreversible? How many objects put to the test, taken apart, deconstruct them into their essential nature, compassion? Name outliving the person who carries it as with a book, name, identity, person. And have you heard, he asked, of the continent of detritus, 100,000 pounds of petroleum plastic, twice the size of your continent. He was not American-born, churning in a vortex, and the water animals under the intense burden of naming. How else we should know them? By their sound, by their cry? Struggling in the serpent coils of plastic, marred, scarred, and she wondered what animals must be sacrificed to the colonization of time, to the colonization of cities, colonization of oceans, of planets. When science doesn't find something, she mused two possibilities toward him in her philosophy, the not finding of something that doesn't exist, and the case of even though something exists, it can't be found. Do you know what I say of this? Not exactly the purpose. Past and future lives, who is to say they don't exist, even if you cannot find them? And there is a world, that is enough. Start here and purify. The external environment, start here. I began in cities. If there are sides, there is a center. The Milky Way has a center around which it revolves, 1 billion light years across. Earth? You mean this book might be my center? She hoped, she prophesied. Like to go there, he said, with you, he said, and picking up her thought like wind's cognition said, again, what is unmistaken? And she said, I know him, I know my friend, by looking at him in my mirror of him.